Hey guys, today we're going to introduce to you the court case Marbury v. Madison and explain its significance. The case Marbury v. Madison was brought to court during the end of John Adams' presidency after the election of 1800. The results of the election were that Thomas Jefferson, candidate of the Democratic-Republican Party, won against John Adams, candidate of the Federalist Party. Unable to continue to his second term, John Adams hurriedly attempted to put the Federalist Party in control of the judicial branch by creating new judgeships and packing the courts last minute with Federalist appointees, also known as midnight appointees. One of these midnight appointees was Justice of Peace William Marbury. However, Marbury's judicial commission was not delivered before Adams' presidency ended, which caused Marbury to be unable to take his position. The role of delivering this commission was passed on to James Madison, President Jefferson's new Secretary of State. Of course, the Jefferson administration was furious with Adams' act of packing the court to take power, and thus refused to deliver the commission. However, Marbury wanted his job in court and felt that he had the right to commission, thus acted as the plaintiff in petitioning directly to the Supreme Court, seeking that the executive be commanded to deliver his commission. Concurring opinions made for Marbury's case included that Marbury was appointed by Adams before Adams' office officially ended and the new presidency took hold. Thus, it was violating Adams' presidential power at the time to take the appointment away. At the same time, refusing to uphold the commission also violated Marbury's right to commission and the laws defining it, deeming that Marbury could properly sue in court for an order of mandamus to be made. Lastly, another argument made for the case was that it solidifies the Supreme Court's authority as a co-equal branch of the government, deeming that the Supreme Court should have the power to issue a mandamus and order the executive to act when the executive was abusing its power. However, dissenting opinions made against Marbury's case included that since Jefferson had the power to appoint to court as a president, he should also have the implied power to take away appointees such as Marbury who haven't officially been in office. Also, due to the separation of powers of branches, one could argue that the Supreme Court should not have the power to order the executive to act and did not have the writ of mandamus to make Madison commission Marbury. Finally, it is important to note the issue of whether or not the Supreme Court had the constitutional power to hear the court case in the first place. Under Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution, cases like such can only be filed to somewhere else and then appealed to the Supreme Court instead of being directly filed to the Supreme Court, which meant that the Supreme Court did not have the right to issue the mandamus as it exceeds the original jurisdiction it was granted. Although the majority of the Supreme Court, including Chief Justice John Marshall, agreed with Marbury's stance that he had the right to become a Justice of Peace and that it was illegal of Madison to withhold the commissions, they were hesitant of voting in favor of the case because it might lead to a decrease in the judicial branch's power. This may seem counterintuitive at first, since ruling for Marbury allowed the Supreme Court to order the executive branch to carry out an action, reinforcing the judiciary's power. However, it was obvious that Jefferson would refuse to comply with the order and would simply deny it. If the order was ignored, it would show that the judicial branch was inferior to the executive. As a consequence, the Supreme Court, led by Marshall, decided to take another route in interpreting the case. They decided that although Marbury was right in that he should be commissioned, it was unconstitutional for the case to be even brought to the Supreme Court, since the Supreme Court did not have the right to make a ruling on this case. This majority decision, made on February 24, 1803, was written by John Marshall himself, and additional justices that voted for the majority included Patterson, Chase, and Washington. The Supreme Court's decision may seem to limit the court's power in the short run, since it established that the Supreme Court may not make a ruling on the case. However, This heavily increased the judicial branch's power in the long run as it established the judicial review, which is the ability of the court to determine whether or not an action by another branch of government is constitutional. By deeming such a case to be unconstitutional for the first time, the Supreme Court has given itself the ability to interpret the Constitution and establish whether an action is made in accordance to or against it, which establishes the judicial branch to be co-equal branch of the U.S. government. Without the case, the judicial branch's power would be diminished greatly as the executive and legislative fight to increase their own powers, disrupting the checks and balances established in government. This case still remains relevant today and has not been superseded by another case because it acts as the foundation of the judiciary's power. Future rulings utilize the judicial review to overturn acts made by different areas of government. For instance, judicial review was used in the case Brown v. Board of Education, which argued for the establishment of a state law segregation of children in public schools based on race. The court deemed this unconstitutional because it violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which prohibits governmental discrimination or abridging the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States based on race and gender. Furthermore, judicial review was also used in Ladue v. Galeo, which attempted to restrict a citizen from setting up a yard sign that stated, "Say no to war in the Persian Gulf," to keep roads of the city from cluttering. The court deemed this unconstitutional because it violated the individual's First Amendment rights with protection of the freedom of speech. Thank you for tuning in to our project, and we hope that you learned what the court case of Marbury v. Madison was about. Thank you.